thank you first for inviting Michael and I to this very important event. The truth of the matter is, I wish I didn't meet any of you. I would prefer not to meet for this reason, but believe wholeheartedly that from every bad thing, good things must win over. And being here for the dedication of the sobriety checkpoint in Josh's honor is unbelievable to us. As you can imagine, March 12th, 2003 was the worst day of our lives. March 12th, he was killed, and he wore the number 12 on his, that's the significance of the 12, so thank you for picking that number. I was at work when my phone rang at 8:05 in the morning, and when I heard Michael on the phone, I knew something had happened, but I expected him to tell me that his father had died. I was very close to his father. When he said Josh is dead, all I could say over and over again is, oh my God. There was nothing else to say. My carpool buddy took me home. It was about an hour away from home. And when I got to my house, Michael and my daughter Shannon were waiting for me. It didn't take long at all for the three of us to decide that everything we did from that point forward would be to honor Josh's memory and to help others deal with the pain of this horrific loss. It amazed us first how the Howard County Police Department, because we lived in Columbia at that time, who showed up at our house with a chaplain to give us the news in person, was contacted by the St. Mary's Sheriff's Department. We were shocked that we were told in person, because so often these things are done by phone. So we actually had a chaplain come to our house, which was, unfortunately, it was our daughter who got the news first. She was so distraught that the police officer was able to call Centennial High School and get Michael, because Shannon couldn't call him. After the memorial service for Josh and after all the guests left, we went back to a very quiet house, wondering what to do next. We started by writing thank you notes, of which there were many. One of the notes I wrote was to the Bay District Volunteer Fire Department, as I had seen on the news that they were the first responders. I wanted to not only say thank you to them for everything they do, but to thank them because they tried to save Josh. I wanted to make sure they knew something about the person they tried to save that Wednesday morning, and I want you to know too. I told them about Josh, that he was studying to be an elementary school teacher because he loved kids, and kids loved him. That he was always well dressed, and that he went to school with his black, you'll remember this, Kevin, his black leather coat, his jacket, his hair gelled perfectly, and wearing his prized sunglasses. The little girls in the elementary school thought he belonged in a boy band. They were always asking for his phone number, by the way. His passion was baseball, and he was a very good utility player, as he had the ability to play every position when called to do so. March 12th was to be his first start for the Seahawks, but he didn't know it. Josh had a wonderful girlfriend, Lauren, whom he treated like a queen, and we remain friends with her and her family to this day. I was beyond surprised when I received a letter back from one of the firefighters, a man by the name of Steve Willing. I'm sure I will never meet him, to say the thank you note was unusual and was read aloud at the department's monthly business meeting. I still have the letter from Steve today, as I have the letter from Kevin. Michael and I always believed that the best way to parent was modeling. We never drank alcohol. We never had alcohol in our home. I'm the daughter and sister of alcoholics, and Michael knew how adamant I was about drinking, about not drinking. As you and many of your parents, we worked very hard in our careers, and as parents lived fairly healthy lives and spoke to our children often about responsibility. As they got older, we spoke about never getting behind the wheel of a car if they chose to drink. We also told them if they were ever in a position that they had the keys in their hand and they didn't feel they could drive, they could call us. There may be consequences later, but we would be there to pick them up. There's an old African proverb you probably heard, it takes a village to raise a child. Well, there's so much truth in that short statement. The primary responsibility for an individual is the individual themselves. The choices they make have consequences, sometimes fatal consequences. But there are also responsibilities of others. For example, friends. Their buddies have to make sure that if one of their friends has chosen to drive, they cannot drink. Your friends must challenge the designated driver if they try to drink. I know it's hard to do, but it works. Our daughter did this with her friends at University of Pittsburgh. The bars and clubs have a responsibility. If a large baseball stadium like Camden Yards can have a designated driver initiative, then smaller clubs and bars can follow suit, especially a bar that caters to college students. And the third is law enforcement. What you are doing today is huge to Michael and I. I can't even imagine how difficult it is for you to give a younger person a DUI, knowing how it could affect their future. But as an officer of the law, I suspect you would much rather deal with the rehabilitation of a young person than to have to show up on the doorstep of their parents' home and give them the news that we received on March 12th, 13 years ago. Sobriety checkpoints do more than just catch people that have been drinking. The advantage to advertising and using checkpoints is to prevent people from drinking and driving under the influence. Our hope is that it makes people think before they get behind the wheel of a car. Your career as police and first responders is one of the most difficult jobs that anyone could possibly choose to do. And the respect that Michael and I have for you, words can't even describe. I cannot imagine how hard it was for the first responders that night that met the car with two young men they tried but could not save. My hope is that you never have to respond to an accident like that again, even though I know that's unrealistic. You put your lives on the line each day, each and every day, to protect people like Michael and I, and we are forever grateful. Our son Josh could not be saved that night, but so many good things have come from this horrific event. St. Mary's College of Maryland now has a scholarship in Josh's honor that assists students in the Masters of Arts and Teaching program. It is the largest privately funded scholarship at St. Mary's College, and it offers 2 to 3 scholarships every year for kids in need. Michael and I also trained as Stephen ministers so that we can act as Christian caregivers to others who carry heavy burdens of grief. There are numerous memorials, such as a tree at Piney Point Elementary School, where he was student teaching at the time. And as Michael and I were talking today, the sad story was he didn't show up for work that day. He was student teaching at the elementary school. And the teacher, he never missed. He never missed. And she happened to call the school and found the news. And that was the first time that those kids, many of those kids, had ever faced possibility of death. So they did a tree and then a carved stone with Josh's name on it. That was pretty cool. We raised money for a foul pole at the baseball field at St. Mary's, and there's still a dedication plaque there today. And the Fall Baseball League in Howard County is named in his honor. There are a few more because Josh was able to touch so many people in his 21 years in so many positive ways. I suspect many people might look at a sobriety checkpoint and wonder why we would want one named in Josh's honor or dedicated in his honor. But I would proudly say that if it saves one young life, it is more than worth it. If it brings attention to the problem of drinking and driving, it is worth it. And if it shows that the community of Leonardtown and St. Mary County Sheriff's Office Department cares enough to dedicate its time, its resources, and its officers to educate all who drive about the awesome responsibility that comes with driving, then it is worth it. We are honored and proud to be here. And again, something very good is coming from something horribly bad. Thank you for thinking of us. Thank you, Kevin, for bringing up our name. And more importantly, thank you to all of you for what you do every day. We honestly pray for you and your safety, and for this program, and hope that it brings all the success you hope for. Thank you. Thank you for doing this.